It's my pleasant duty to welcome you here this evening, and at this point I would like to just introduce some of the board of the Downtown Improvement Area Association, and Mr. Ron Cole, Director, proprietor of Dr. Cobbler's Shoes. Sergeant Detective Jeff Flooney, I don't believe, is here, but he is Director of Owen Sound Police Services Liaison. Councillor Marion Kepke, City Council Rep. Lois Taylor, Director, who is with proprietor of DC Taylor Jewelers. She isn't with us tonight. Mr. Wayne Ritchie, our City Manager, also our DIA City Liaison. Staff down at the back, Deb Blackshaw, OSDIA Coordinator, and Heather Anderson, Communications Coordinator. Jackie Fertner, Vice Chair, proprietor of Bear Birch. Kathy Hannon, is she present? Kathy Hannon's our Treasurer. Francesca Dobbin, Director. She is our Executive Director for the United Way. Diane Mattice, I don't believe is here, but she is proprietor of the Rocking Horse. Councillor Brian O'Leary, again, City Council Rep. Brian? And of course myself, the Chair of the DIA, Dave Parsons. So it's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight. And I have very few comments before we call on Jackie Fertner, but I would point out that I did a little research on population, and the population of Owen Sound in 1911 was 11,000 people. Today it's just about 22,000. I also did research on Montreal, Hamilton, London, Toronto, Montreal. Every one of those cities are considered to be major cities, and they're approximately the factor of 10, not 2. So we have some growing to do. Not that growth is all good, but I do feel that at the present time what we're proposing isn't the total answer to making our city a better place to come, but I think that what is being proposed here is certainly for information purposes so that we can get a feel for what is out there. A number of studies have already been done, but it's really good to see that there's this interest here tonight. So it's my pleasure to call on Jackie Fertner with the first presentation. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Dave. So I'm here on behalf of the OSDIA. Thank you all for coming out to discuss these possible changes to our downtown parking strategies and the DIA. We will be accepting questions and comments after the presentation, and we hope to get a discussion going to see if we can come up with the best solutions possible. Let's just get into here. Where's this? So first I'll tell you a little bit about the background of this discussion and why we're talking about this now. And I'll explain what we took into consideration when analyzing the situation, and finally we'll explain the 3 possible scenarios that we came up with as a board. So this all came about because of the recurring issue of parking identified by businesses and visitors of the downtown. So the city staff, councillors, and the DIA have all been collaborating together to talk about this. And now we just want to share with you so that we can hopefully get some more ideas and some feedback from everyone involved. So what questions do we need to ask ourselves? At the DIA, we asked, what are we trying to accomplish with any changes? Who will be affected by these changes, and how can we get the desired outcomes? So what we thought are the main things we want to accomplish with any changes are creating a more inviting atmosphere downtown that encourages people to visit in a car, as a pedestrian, or as a cyclist, whether for a short visit or a long-term visit downtown. We're looking to find solutions that will promote coming downtown to enjoy and support our businesses, and we're mindful that any changes made should support a safe traffic circulation. And who will be affected? Anyone who lives, works, owns a property, or visits downtown will be affected by any of these changes. The DIA is responsible for making down a vibrant, safe, and fun place for all 4 of these groups, and we need to make sure that any changes made will be positive for everyone in the long run. So how can we get the desired outcomes? Taking all of these things into account, we've discussed 3 possible options. They're by no means all the options. They're just the few that we came up with up to this point, and some of the pros and cons that come with them. So option 1 was just to leave it as it is. This means paid parking in the lots and paid parking on the side streets, with complimentary parking on Main Street from 7th Avenue or 7th Street until 10th Street or 11th Street. So the pros of this, of doing nothing, is that no work would have to be done to make the changes. We leave it as it is. Oh, sorry. Uh-oh. All right, doesn't matter. So the cons are that we have prime parking, which is free, which ends up being where everyone wants to park because it's free and it's prime. And then the perceived inconvenient lots, because they're through a little alley or a side street, are paid. And so this leads to a lack of available parking on Main Street and underused lots. The current setup also increases traffic on 2nd Avenue East because a lot of people circle around looking for a spot on the Main Street because it's the only free parking. So this increase in congestion can also make the roads a little bit less safe for the pedestrians and cyclists. So option number 2 would be all on-street parking is complimentary for 2 hours, all the side streets, Main Street, and then the lots would be complimentary for up to 9 hours. And so the pros of this is that it would be a popular choice, as it's easier for people to park without putting coins into a meter. A lot of people don't carry change around. And it also addresses the congestion created by people driving around looking for a spot on Main Street, because now it's free everywhere. The cons are that we've heard concerns about possible lots being filled by business owners and employees who currently park farther away from downtown where it's free now. If it's free 9 hours, there are concerns that it might get filled up and there won't be room for visitors coming downtown.
That's not number 2 on the sheet.
That's the next one. So, option number 3 would be paid parking on the Main Street. So this would be for as many hours as would be decided, 2 hours, whatever, to pay for prime parking and then have free parking in the lots, but up to a 5-hour maximum, so that people can come and stay and have lunch and walk around, but not stay all day, and those that do want to stay all day would be able to still buy a parking pass as they do right now with City Hall. So the pros are that it would encourage people to park in the currently mostly empty lots while leaving more spaces available on the Main Street. This would alleviate complaints that there isn't enough parking downtown, and it would also encourage more walking downtown. There's a lot of talk about walkable communities and how they can lead to a healthier and more connected community. And it might encourage more people to walk in general around town. And the cons are the cost of putting in the meters of Main Street, which could be, it could unbalance the pros of this, absolutely. There are taxes associated with charging for parking at all, even if it's just a small portion, and it may not be a popular option. So we have not made any decisions as of yet, because we think we're more likely to create the best solution if we all work together. We just had an opportunity come that was presented to us, and we wanted to ask you, based on the earlier questions, how you think we should structure our parking strategies. How do you use the space? What would make your experience downtown better? And we're taking comments about our options, as well as options we haven't thought of, or a combination of the options. It's all very open right now. And thank you for your time, and Wayne will discuss what the implications of this would mean for the DIA.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what you just said doesn't create back over your disclosures, Tim?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Oh, okay. So,
2 and 3 are reversed.
okay. So number 1 is leave it as is. Number 2 on your sheet would be paid on the main street, free for 5 hours in the lots. And number 3 would be free everywhere.
Can I clarify that Main Street
Yeah.
is
2nd Avenue from 7th Street to 11th Street. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave that up to Wayne, and then once he talks about the implications of that, if there are any other questions from me or Dave about the DIA or anything, that's fine too. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. I'd just like to point out that this presentation is being taped and will be available through a link on both the DIA website as well as the city website. Secondly, there is a comment sheet that if you don't care to make any comments tonight, you could take one of these sheets along with you to fill out. It's also going to be available online through SurveyMonkey. Okay? So at this point, without any further ado, Mr. Ritchie. Thank you.
Yeah, I just need to find out where the mouse is.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Dave. Thanks, Jackie. I'm here this evening, obviously, to discuss the option of what I believe we're referring to as business-sponsored parking in the downtown core. The Ontario Municipal Act sets out the regulations under which DIAs are created, and what we're focusing on this evening is Section 1B, and the board's responsibility is to promote the area as a business or shopping area. Recent surveys of merchants and visitors consistently mention 2 deterrents to people visiting downtown. You've certainly heard them as well as I have. A feeling of comfortable in the environment and customer paid parking. Council's approval of the downtown riverfront precinct is one step taken to address the feeling some have that downtown is not a comfortable and inviting place. Over the next few years, the downtown riverfront precinct will change the physical design of 1st Avenue East and West from 8th Street all along the riverfront to the harbor. As this change occurs, downtown will be the place people feel comfortable and safe to shop, dine, be entertained, live, and to invest. For downtown to thrive, the environment must be so inviting, everyone will want to spend time there, not just go from his or her vehicle to the bank or store for 5 minutes. Not only will the physical environment change, but city, and hopefully private-sponsored events, will focus in this area and attract a wide range of our citizens and visitors back to downtown. And this is some of the conceptual plans that we are presenting to Council on how eventually, over time, the downtown riverfront precinct will unfold. The Downtown Improvement Area Board and membership has an opportunity to address the deterrent that some of the merchants and customers see with paid parking. The DIA manager has announced her plans to retire. Before hiring a new manager, it is prudent to discuss how the DIA might operate in the future and how the levy collected could be invested to promote downtown as a business or shopping area. The all-important budget. The DIA net levy and other revenues in 2018 is $238,000. With the elimination of most revenues from paid parking and the expenses associated with paid parking, leaves a deficit of approximately $180,000. The DIA could allocate $180,000 of their levy towards business-sponsored parking for all downtown visitors. No one would pay on the parks or in the parking lots or on the street. To ensure turnover, on-street parking would have a 2-hour limit. All-day parking would be provided in the municipal parking lots. For downtown patrons, this would keep the system simple. Park anywhere on the street for 2 hours. If you wish to stay longer, park in a lot. The city's goal, the board's goal, and I think all merchants' goal, is to create the attractions, events, and entertainment that visitors will want to stay longer. How would the DIA board operate? In 2019, the DIA board would have approximately $60,000 to promote the DIA via marketing, promotions, and events. The board could meet at City Hall with administrative support by city staff. Operating within their budget, the board would direct the marketing, promotion, and events they wanted to undertake in the downtown. And here are some of the recent events that the board has operated in the downtown. The city has excellent staff in marketing, tourism, and events, and they would provide their expertise to coordinate, manage, and execute the plans of the board in these areas. And here are some of the events that city staff have operated, and I think attracted many people to the downtown core. That was our Riverfront Festival with community groups helping. We run a very successful Home Cottage Expo every year. It's well attended. We operate Harbor Nights on Sunday evenings through the summer. Again, you can see well attended. And our most recent event that I think everyone hopefully was out to, and I think will admit was a smashing success, Harborfest. You will see a trend in many of the events that the city facilitates already. They are focused, if not directly in the downtown core, very close to it. As well, with the support to the board I have already mentioned, the expertise of all city staff would be available virtually at a minute's call. Certainly with a small staff, and certainly Deb and Heather do a great job, but they're two people. And I know I certainly don't have all the expertise to facilitate all the things the city does without tapping into the resources that we have of professional help in the areas, planning, engineering, arborists, all of the things that are certainly would be, again, at a minute's call to the DIA board's need. Some may ask, why is downtown parking not just added to the city budget and paid for by all taxpayers? The simplest answer is other commercial districts within the city pay their own parking expenses. Although the city supports the downtown core, to pay for the cost of parking would be unfair to other retailers and other retail districts in the city. So the answer, or the questions I believe each DA member must answer are, is customer paid parking a large deterrent for my business? Only you can answer that. And secondly, am I prepared to have a significant portion of my DIA levy goes towards business-sponsored parking? And certainly, as Dave has mentioned, and Jackie, we're certainly here to hear from everyone here this evening. There will be a survey. We want your input, but those are really the basic questions I believe you have to answer for yourselves, and let the board know your answer. Thank you very much, and I will be available for any questions you may have.
Is there anyone that would wish to come up and either have a comment, make a comment, or ask a question? If you would come up and right over to the mic, please, here, and if you would introduce your name and municipality.
My name is Mike Zyman. I live in Owen Sound. I read that it costs $20,000 a night to clean the snow off the curbs in the wintertime. And I thought, that's a lot of money. $20,000 a night. And for all the tenants that live downtown Owen Sound, that just must be a whole lot of fun listening to the diesels running all night long. So $20,000 a night, how many times do they do this a year? 8 years ago, council voted to get rid of all the parking meters, and halfway between elections, they spent $100 grand buying new parking meters. So I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. That's just my opinion. History shows otherwise. But if you got rid of the parking meters and you got rid of the trees on the sidewalks, now the trees, they sure do look nice, but I've never met one person who said they go downtown for the trees. So if you got rid of them, it wouldn't cost $20,000 to clean these sidewalks off. And if you do that 10 times a year, 10 times a winter, and guys like me have a lot of trouble getting over those snowbanks in the winter, so I don't even go down there anymore. If you got rid of the trees and the parking meters and you had a clear a clear sweep, you could take the snow off the sidewalk, not push it into the buildings, but push it into the road. You have your plow coming down, and you could take it all off, and it wouldn't cost near as much. And then in the wintertime, I don't know who's here, the only businesses downtown, the only one I recognize is Ron, but I bet your businesses don't do near as well in the wintertime because of those snowbanks. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Your name and municipality? Sorry.
Mike Simon, Owen
No-
Sound.
Okay, thank you. Just for my purposes, I'm sorry.
My name is Peter Lemon, City of Owen Sound. First of all, the number 20,000 occurs 2 or 3 times a winter. It doesn't occur every night. So that should be understood.
I know it's not every night.
Well, the way the inference was that it was every night. Now, the other thing,
Heard that at all, Peter. You misunderstood.
well, anyway, that's point number 1. Yeah, you could have an absolutely sterile downtown with no trees, no anything. You probably would have no people. But what we're looking here is at parking. I agree, the parking is a controversial area. A number of years ago, Jeff Robbins and I were appointed or voluntold, I'm not sure which, by the DIA, to find out what was going on in Brockville. We went down for 2 days in Brockville, and we came back shocked at the results. I was shocked because when I went down there, I was not in favor of complimentary parking. Jeff was a bit. I wasn't. I couldn't see any benefit. And boy, did I get my eyes opened. We both independently did surveys up and down the main streets. And when we came back and compared our notes, the variance was less than 1% in our results. And the interesting one was, do you favor the complimentary parking? I got about 70% in favor of it. But when we asked the counterpoint question, would you like to go back to meters? And Jeff asked the same question. It was 100% no, which tells me it was working. And in talking to the businesses, it was working. There were less vacant stores than we have at the present time. I think there's a message there. And a number of years ago, someone in the clothing business said to me, well, if somebody comes downtown, pays $400 for a suit, and then gets a $10 parking ticket, what's the message? Very, very negative. I would encourage the DIA to go ahead with complimentary parking in the downtown. It works. And one of the things when we tried to expand it a number of years ago to 10th to 11th and 7th or 8th to 7th, there was some resistance. But we said, well, let's put the meters back on the other parts of the main street, and boy, oh boy, there was a lot more support for it. I really think parking meters are there only to encourage the parking to change, for people to come in, do their shopping, and then leave again. It's not for all-day parkers. There's a 2-hour limit. And I think that's enforceable without parking meters. Because quite frankly, they tick people off. People don't like having to pay money to spend money. Now, in reality, when you go to the mall, you do. Because when you buy something in the mall, so much of the cost of that goes towards their parking costs. In the stores, it's reversed. You pay before coming into the store. I would prefer to have it as blended, which it would be under this. I really believe the DIA has done a good job in trying to deal with this issue. But the best answer is to make the parking meters into ship anchors, and let's make downtown Owen Sound alive. Now, thank you. The good news about this is that if we get complimentary parking in, I believe we will get more stores filled. If we get more stores filled, then DIA levy will go up, and so will city taxes, which the city won't object to,
I'd add there without an increase in the levy.
without an increase in the levy. This is just the amount that the same levy would raise. Because we have something like a 25% vacancy rate, if that went down to 5, it would be wonderful. So let's
Peter?
move ahead.
Thank you, Peter. Your 5 minutes is up.
That wasn't 5.
I know. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Lee Graves, and I own property in the downtown. I want to commend the DIA and the city for looking at this thorny issue again and doing so much work. We have had an opportunity to try complimentary parking during the big dig, and it was not a resounding success, as I remember, because of the problem of having parking lots filled up with workers. So that is something that we can look back on and learn from that little piece of history. But these three options are very interesting. And Wayne, when you were talking about the city and the budget, I'm understanding that you are just referring to business-sponsored parking everywhere. So I'm wondering if you have costed out paid prime parking and business-sponsored parking, how much would that take of our levy?
No, I haven't been able to actually calculate those numbers. The more you vary from completely unpaid parking, our expenses on the other side also vary. So depending on what options the DI wished us to look at, I would have to look at what staff would be required to enforce, whatever parking rules we have. Obviously, when you collect cash, that adds cost to your operation. So I haven't done that yet. Depending on that, what the DIA asks us to do, we could do that. So
That would probably be really helpful to be able to make those decisions.
I think I will mention, certainly our parking statistics tell us overall, parking in the downtown core, all of the available city parking spots, Pam's probably closer than I am, but used less than 60% of the time. That's a fair general statement to make. I would say as far as free parking, in my humble opinion, in the all-day parking lots, I believe people who work downtown also spend money downtown. I believe they're not only your employees directly, but indirectly other people's customers. So I do not think that you necessarily want to have them parking too far away from where they're doing their business, but that's just my own opinion, and there is lots of parking in the downtown core.
Come on up. I would also like to add that certainly when we expanded from 7th to 11th, there was a cost involved of not putting the meters back in, or a savings of about $6,200 or so. At the time, the budget for city in terms of parking was over $500,000, and they called it revenue neutral at the time, but very little was going back into any maintenance. It was all going towards monitoring. So that's a no-win, and that's where I would agree with Lee. We really are concerned about filling the lots with the people who work downtown, but I also think that if we have all of the side streets rather monitored still, and also the number of meters that would come out would be helpful for dispersing that in some fashion. And if we needed to tweak it, then we will do so. We would make some recommendations to make sure that happens. Come on up.
So my name's Russ Ellis, and from Business Downtown Owen Sound. So the question that I'm rattling with is not about parking, and I know that's why we're here, but if we're talking about the issue of improving the businesses downtown, I'm going to throw something completely different at you. Why not get rid of the parking? And where I'm coming from is different places where I've lived around the world in Europe. They will often get rid of the parking entirely between set times of the day. All of the residents in that designated area and businesses have a sticker. You can come and go, obviously at a set, suitable speed. But by freeing up the road, it's now pedestrianised. If we look at the city of Canterbury, for example, a cathedral city, the downtown core is bigger than Owen Sound. That is pedestrianised. It is pedestrianised from 10 o'clock through until 3:30, 4 o'clock. So where I'm going is, let's say in the mornings, people can drive in and out, evenings the same. During the day, let's have pop-up stores at $200 a pop for a week, times that by 5. Now we've got interest downtown as well. That's $1,000 a week. That's an extra 52,000. I throw that out there just as something different. I agree the parking is an issue, but are we looking to improve business, or are we looking for a parking lot? And I just throw that out there. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a comment? Mr. Rees.
My name is Peter Reeser. I'm with the Owen Sound District Chamber of Commerce. Just a couple of points. Perhaps the most important one, and I don't think it's one that's been raised. We're in competition with the internet in terms of businesses. And if we don't make it convenient and comfortable for people to come to downtown Owen Sound, they have a very easy decision to make. They're just going to buy it online. So our position is, if it's going to be complimentary parking, don't have any other restrictions around it in terms of, well, there's preferential parking for a fee here and there's something over here if you're prepared to pay for it. It's complimentary parking, however you want to define that. 2 hours on the streets, 9 hours in the parking lot. Make it simple so even I can understand it. And to hear that we've tried something like this before, you got to keep in mind that for over 100 years, or for many decades, the city has trained the residents of Owen Sound and those beyond its perimeter who come into Owen Sound that there's paid parking. It will take a while for consumers to understand and realize that it's complimentary parking. This will not happen overnight in terms of a flood of cars now coming to downtown Owen Sound. It's going to take a while to retrain the population. So let's make it simple, let's do it right, and let's get people back down into downtown Owen Sound.
Thanks, Peter. Mr. Reed, before you. Good.
My name is Peter Reed. Two things. Firstly, with the parking, I agree consistency is important. Having the lots unlimited free parking, I think it's a mistake. It'll affect the businesses that don't have street parking available. It'll be filled with the employees from other businesses and less room for their customers. One of the other important things I think we need to look at here is the cost involved, and the other side of that is what's left. Mr. Ritchie's report to the DIA said about 50 to 60,000 would remain for all the other expenses in the DIA, which is marketing, events, promotion. And based on a report the DIA did, we have beautification at 8,700, floral at 17,500, promotion at 1,250, events at 28,500, and that leaves $2,150 for marketing for the downtown at a time when the 10th Street Bridge is going to be ripped out. This is the time where, if anything, we need to do more to encourage downtown, yes. Is parking going to be enough? I'm no expert. But removing $180,000 from the budget that could be put towards other things, I think that could be a big mistake. Thank you.
Mr. Ritchie.
Going over how the city budget reconciles with the DA budget and the works that's done, take some some work. I've done that. The $60,000 would be available for events, marketing, promotions. Currently, the city contracts with the DIA $17,000 a year to do the flora and the fauna. That would just move to the city's budget, so the DIA wouldn't be responsible for that. Net cost to the taxpayer for that would not change. I feel quite confident talking to the board that we can provide all of the services, all of the marketing, all of the promotion with our staff for $60,000, and there would be no change in what the DIA members are seeing in that area. I'm confident of that. Council has certainly, we all want the DIA to succeed. Everyone here I know does, council does, all of our staff does. We are committed to making sure that the DIA is in no way worse off from any maintenance issues or promotional issues in 2019 than they would be in 2018. And I'm committed. I know council is committed. If anything, it would be better off. But the proof will be in the pudding, Peter.
If I may, sir?
Yeah. Could you come up here, Peter? Take, please.
At the last council meeting, when they were talking about the 10th Street Bridge and signage and that regarding traffic and promoting the downtown as being open, I believe it was suggested the DIA was going to be paying for that.
If it was, I missed it, but the DA would not be paying for that
I think
directly.
you actually
but
said it, sir.
They would be open to putting a contribution if they wish to, but we want to see the downtown succeed.
So the city's going to pay for that signage?
We will pay for whatever signage is required during the construction. Absolutely.
For promoting the downtown?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for the question, Peter. Marianne.
My name is Marianne Thomas. I've owned a business and a property, and I live in the downtown since 1984. I believe the values of the DIA are really important to us as property owners and business owners, and I believe that what's going on here now is not the right approach. I actually have no problems at all with paid parking throughout the downtown and continuing to have an independent and autonomous DIA that will work to beautify and promote the downtown. I think that parking, it should not be a DIA expense. The DIA is not meant to be a revenue line for the city. The DIA is meant to work on promoting and beautifying the downtown. I have free parking in front of my store, and quite frankly, that's a deterrent for my customers. I get parking tickets, I pay parking tickets. 2 hours is half an hour here and 2 hours over there, and they get a ticket. They don't understand the system. Let's just put ticket spitters throughout the downtown. So I'm going to say customer paid parking would not be a large deterrent, because at least it would be understandable. We've managed to miscommunicate what parking is available to people who don't understand the subtleties of the main street and the off-street parking. We need more signage. There's not proper signage for the off-street parking. There's all sorts of problems inherent in that. And I am not prepared to support a significant portion of the DIA levy that goes towards a revenue line for the city. That's not what the DIA was created for. It's not. We've been a member of the Ontario Business Improvement Association since 1973. This organization has lost a lot of its impetus over the years, and I think that what's happening now is a reflection of continuing that. And I think as members of the DIA, we need to look again at what this organization offers to us, and it's a chance, and I'm looking at Bernie Fishman right now, who was one of the founding members. The DIA is a good organization. It's a good structure. Yes, it's a local board, but it's a self-funded local board. This is our money, the property owners. This is not city money to use as they would like. It's our money. It belongs to the property owners, and it's to beautify and promote. And I think if free parking, or whatever we're calling it, business-sponsored parking, were so wonderful, then we should be able to look at least the 2 blocks, if not the 4 blocks that have this, and see wonderful improvements. And I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing vacant stores. I'm seeing people living on the sidewalk. I'm seeing dirt and neglected buildings. I'm seeing a DIA office without a sign. These are problems that are not going to be solved by giving $180,000 of our money. This is not taxpayer money. This is our money. And that money it needs to be used for what it was intended for, which was to beautify and promote the downtown. So you can see I'm kind of passionate about this. But I would like to see a fourth option. I don't mind paid parking throughout. Let's take the complication away, and let's get our DIA back as a strong organization that represents the members. And the members of the DIA are the people who own the businesses and the properties and live in the downtown. And they're the ones who should be making these decisions, not the city. And that's what I have to say.
If I could just add to that, in the 2017 budget of the DIA, $50,600 went to events and promotion. In the new budget as proposed, it's $60,000, so I'm not quite sure. The rest of what we're talking about in terms of the proposal as presented, the majority of it, over 64%, is administration. So I'm sorry, Marianne, when you say it's our money, it's a matter of how we spend it. And it's not about the DIA and it's not about the city. It's what's best for the people coming to our city. And if in fact, I just had a chap from Toronto 2 days ago who came into our shop. We are a hub. We can draw people. And the best way we could draw people is to make it a whole lot friendlier and a whole lot easier for them to spend more time in our downtown. I'm also very passionate about the downtown and have been on the board for the past 7 years. And I think we have a very good working relationship with the city, to the point where we even now have a sidewalk plow going through the winter cleaning our streets. There's a first in a very long time. That has not cost the DIA anything. That has to do with collaboration with the city. Bernie's nodding at this. He also doesn't want to see a parking meter in front of his store again. Do you, Bernie? So I would just like to see more able to take advantage of no parking meter in front of their store. And I would add that it's not the only thing we have to do at this point, and it would free up the DIA to consider other options as to where we go next as far as promotion and working with the city to spend more of their money. Now, I never said that because Wayne's standing there, but you heard it. Wayne didn't, did you, Wayne? Anyone else? Mr. Robbins. Did you want to speak as well? Come on up. Ladies first.
My name is Ann Donderman of Gray Gallery. I'm a business owner, a building owner, and soon to be a resident of downtown, so a newcomer, and I'm just taking a step back. So I would like to see the data that says that parking is a problem. If it exists, if surveys have been done in the past, if you have a lot of information on this. I've never heard anyone mention it to me, but I'm not doubting that it is a problem. I'd just like to see if we're going this route, it should be based on some kind of hard data. I also, just meters, I mean, you don't actually need physical meters anymore, so it's not like everyone's going to have a meter in front of their store. And my other question is just about the staffing, the city staffing. Is the staff currently underemployed that they can take on the equivalent of 2 full-time people and do that work? You know, that's a lot of time and effort goes into the work that the 2 staff members have been doing. And I think they've been doing a very good job on the promotion and marketing side. If they're going to have to compete, if the downtown is going to have to compete in terms of time, city staff time to do marketing and promotion for downtown with all the other priorities that staff have, how's that going to work? Thanks.
Thank you.
The ability the city has, as any corporation that has approximately 250 employees, is many hands make short work. So certainly we have expertise, and I will stand by that, by the events we've run in the last 24 months that have been, I think, fantastic events in marketing, promotion, doing special events. They would be the, the brain trust of those ideas. but 250 combined employees can certainly share the work. So we're not looking for more work. I feel we can handle more work. We can handle the events the DIA runs, I think, very well. I'm certainly not knocking the work that has been done by present staff either, but I do think we could do it, yes.
If I could add to that, just that some of the same people that we hire during the summer could be also rehired by the city because it is part-time and there is some consideration for rehiring those people, in fact, that do the watering and clean our streets in the summer particularly. Some of those people are laid off in the winter, so it's rather a wash when you talk about it that way, okay?
Can you also address the issue of what data is supporting?
Well, it was 2 years ago that a revitalization study was done rather extensively. And it was from that in fact, it was another study that nearly got buried. And the DIA kept bringing up that notion that where is it and what were we going to do about the things that in fact were raised by quite a number of people who were invited to respond to that survey, both businesses and people coming to our downtown. And it was from that Mr. Ritchie pointed out that in fact 2 of the major things that we have trouble with was parking and people on the street. Okay, and that was, and also a comfort level. I do believe that we're beginning to address that, and I know that from our police liaison that it is not very easy to deal with the one of them, but they are beginning to, and there's going to be more of a police presence. And as for the rest of it, I do believe that, well, the chap from Toronto said, I haven't seen meters in years. Wherever he's from, he just found a lot, parked, came in, and was not at all concerned. Didn't even know how many hours we had to park. He didn't see a meter, so from that perspective, it's about dealing with the people who come to our town and helping them to feel comfortable, including in front of your store. So if there was a meter there, I can tell you that, and this happened last week, a chap parked in a lot, he put in 2 hours, and I was glad the meter was there because he was only allowed to stay for an hour 45 minutes. He had to get back to the lot in 15 so he could feed more money into the meter. And that doesn't mean I didn't want to talk to him any longer either, but it was just a point that he had to leave because he was not wanting to get a ticket. 2 weeks ago I talked to a chap from Wyerton who said, I haven't been in your town for a very long time and I shop in Port Elgin because I'm pretty sure I'm not getting a ticket there. 20 years ago, he got a ticket, no one's never been back. Okay? That's, wow. Anyway, Mr. Robbins.
Thank you very much, David. My name is Jeffrey Robbins. I'm the owner, operator of Aveda Main Street Hair Salon. We've been in business since 1989. First of all, I'd like to thank the board. I got to pinch myself, actually, to think that we're actually looking at this again. Because this started in 2001 with Peter Lemon and myself on the downtown improvement, the Big Dig. We took out the meters at that point to a lot of, there was a lot of things that we had to do, adversity, you could say, that we had to go through to do that. Some words were exchanged with the city officials, but everyone came out all right. We do about 120 clients a day in my salon. Okay? Since 1989, the biggest issue has been parking. Okay? Make no doubt about it. Parking. It deters people from coming to the downtown. You got to realize, okay, with our business, we're a service industry business, so people are going to make it to our salon. It doesn't matter if they got to find parking a few blocks away. What I want is for my retail. All right, because we're fine. If you want to not have complimentary parking, we're fine. It doesn't affect us, my business. What I'd like to see is help the retail businesses and help everyone in the downtown. And that's why complimentary parking will be so advantageous. Because there's many people. It's not about us in this room as well. It's about the client, the patron, the person that's paying the freight. Those are the people we want to help. Those are the people we want to have their bums in our chair or come into our stores, spend the money, and all we're doing is deterring them. We're giving them tickets. And how many stories have we heard? Okay? People getting tickets, never coming back. It's a total deterrent, all right? So if you don't adopt complimentary parking, I will survive. I will be fine. My business, my clients, our business, my staff, we'll all be fine because we have a clientele that will come to us. What I'm trying to help is everyone else. All the other businesses will be successful if you have complimentary parking, period. If you do the 9-hour parking in the lots, our staff are not a bunch of morons. They will not park in the best spots. They will not park. That was an old one, okay? It's not that way anymore, okay? People know that they got to have, Diane, your family comes in. We want to make sure that they have a good spot to come to in front of our salon. We're not going to have my staff park in front of the salon if it's 2 hours, okay? That's just not the way it's going to be. So what we have to do is we have to educate the system. Once we get it in place, if we get it in place, educate the public, educate us. We have to have great signage, all right? I don't agree the signage is good now, so we have to make it better. If you want me to go on a committee to help. I will give any expertise I can, all right, in dealing with the public and dealing with the people. Because there again, I can't stress enough, it's not about us in this room tonight. It's about the people that pay the freight. All right? Those are the people that are going to make your business successful. And if you want to help your business and make it more successful, give them something. It's like analogy, I have a hallway coming into my business. It's like me locking the door, and I have all those people, 30 people want to come in, and I'm stopping them from coming in. Because I'm going to go into your pocket and get more money out of your pocket. All right? All right? So if you don't adopt complimentary parking, all right, if you don't adopt it, that's fine. Put the meters back on 2nd Avenue then. Make it that way. Because as far as I'm concerned, I've been at this since 2001, Peter, right? I will go again on a committee. I will help out again if you want me, if you need me. It's up to you. But I will be, I can't do it anymore. But anyways, I'd like to thank again. I'd like to thank again the board. I'd like to thank the people that voted to even bring it to this point. I'd like to thank the Council of Owen Sound. I'd like to thank Wayne Ritchie and all the people that have got it this far. David Parsons, thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else care to come on up?
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's faces and names, so hi. My name is Tula, and we own the Europa restaurant downtown. I would like to agree in regards to the gentleman in the white that things have to be simple. We, our customers, plus I can tell you from today only alone, I had 3 customers park right in front of the loading zone, and I caught them on time because yesterday, unfortunately, a lady got a ticket. Didn't get on time because I had customers in the restaurant, so I couldn't tell her, you can't park here. So we still have the meters. We have a loading zone that is constantly, people are parking there and they're getting tickets. So today alone, I stopped 3 people, and they were actually from out of town who had no idea. They had meetings, or they had at Norma Jean's, or somewhere downtown, and they're like, thank you so much for saving us for this ticket. So I would agree with either having all downtown being equal, the same, either parking or not paying for parking, but it should be equal. That's all I care about. Consistency for everybody around, and have simple rules that everybody and every business owner knows what the rules are, because I don't. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I just want to actually say, Jeff, your comments are great, and I agree very much with what Tula says. And I think we've had, I don't know, Lee, how long have we had complimentary parking on the main street? Since 2003, perhaps? Yeah. If it is so successful in creating a dynamic downtown business community, why are there so many vacant stores on the main street? I don't think it's proven itself as a success. And you know, the definition of crazy is doing the same thing again and expecting a different result. So the only thing that we can come up with here is increasing the complementary parking out of our pockets, $180,000 of the property owner's money, and expecting a different result. I don't understand why people think increasing is going to make a difference, because it hasn't made a difference in the available blocks now. We have so many vacant stores now. It hasn't significantly improved the downtown
Thanks,
at all.
Marianne. I'll speak to that because in having been in Hanover
Sorry,
a number of years
I'm
ago.
just going to say, you've been providing
Yeah.
rebuttals for most of the comments.
Would you like to?
I would like the next person to speak.
Perfect.
Well, this is our meeting.
Yeah, no, go ahead, speak. But I will comment when I'm done here.
Okay. I want to thank Marianne for very passionately defending the DIA and what the DIA stands for and what it does when it's working really well. And we are all working together as a community. And I don't discount anyone's opinions here. They're all valid. Experience, we need to look at what the experience of other communities is. We need to understand what our own experience is. And I'm hearing two different things. The notion that complementary parking is good, that sounds great. But what comes with the complementary parking, even the 2-hour stuff on the main streets, is that enforcement that is not great, that creates a lot of anger with people. I mean, fine, you have a 2-hour free, I can go park over here for 2 hours, but if I happen to park there for 10 minutes and in the same day move to a different spot 2 blocks away, I'm going to get a ticket. And then what I'm going to have to do, and I'm saying this because in the last year I have had to go 3 times to City Hall to have bad tickets expunged or whatever. That's me. I know that I can do this. How many times have people who have come to our city not done that, just been annoyed and decided not to come back? So complementary parking comes with that strange enforcement that nobody understands. So I think we have a couple of problems that we really need to delve into. Figuring out what lot would be good for 5 hours and what lot would be good for 9 hours, and that would be terrific. But the enforcement part of it is, I think, the bit that really ticks people off. And so I'm going to suggest that if we're going to go to a complementary system where we have decreased requirements for enforcement, I'm going to throw out the possibility, ask the question. We used to have officers on the beat doing this kind of thing. If we are going to have more police presence in the downtown, which is going to supposedly help with another bad impression that people have of safety in the downtown, then is it possible for them to start to do some of this enforcement instead of duplicating services? That's just an idea I have. But thank you, Marianne. This is our money. It's meant to beautify and to promote. And I also wonder why there are different levels of expectations from different areas in the city with city-owned parking spaces. I'm thinking of the Bayshore, I'm thinking of Harrison Park, wherever the city owns parking. Are the requirements for it to be self-funding everywhere? Thank you.
I guess I'll start with the enforcement issue first. Certainly, you need enforcement. Otherwise, quite frankly, I think in the interest of the merchants, many of you who, I think if you had an average customer, you would say the average customer was something less than all day. And if we don't enforce something where you want people, I'll go to the restaurant business, you need turnover. So there needs to be enforcement, or quite frankly, it will be a free-for-all, and that I don't think would do any of the merchants any good. Certainly, I will tell you, our enforcement staff now, the guns, even though it's 2 hours, they're not set for 2 hours. They're not set for 2 hours. There is a wait period there. I'll tip Jackie's hand here a little bit. Jackie has a notion, and I believe we could do it moving ahead, that there may be a complimentary one-time waiving of enforcement. So the first time you're down there and you go over the 2 hours, you'd get a nice sticker saying you've been over the 2 hours. That's something we've looked into and we could do. So we're trying to perhaps soften the enforcement, but you're still going to need enforcement. Issues of having the police do it, I think our police are trying to make sure they keep their costs under control. There is a return on the investment here. Police officers are earning well over $100,000 a year. I can assure you our enforcement staff in parking are not making anywhere near that kind of money. So I just, you know, that is not something that I would even ask the police board to consider. Personally, I can't remember any of the other ones, to be honest with you. But I hope that answers those two. Oh, and I would say again, I think the proposal that we were working on was quite simple. Park in a city municipal lot. Park there all day. It's free. I don't think we could be much more. The signage should be pretty simple. Entering the lot, it should be pretty simple. Come up with large signs. Park here free all day. A number of signs everywhere in the street. Park here 2 hours. So the proposal, it's very simple. So.
Thanks. Peter.
I think it's a false equivalency to suggest that complementary parking has not succeeded in downtown Owen Sound because of the number of stores that are closed. I could equally argue that without that complementary parking, more stores would be closed. There is no evidence to indicate. Secondly, sorry, I've lost my train of thought here for a second. I think complementary parking is the best promotion you have. And people, frankly, would rather have complementary parking than pretty flowers and lights in the trees in downtown Owen Sound. So I view complementary parking as the best investment in promotion for downtown Owen Sound. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else? I would, oh, come on up then.
I'm Donna Beatty, and I'm a longtime resident of Owen Sound, and I agree 100% with the complementary parking idea. I really think that our downtown is about it being a welcoming space, and that what downtown offers and any small business offers is service, and you guys are really good at that. And I think that complimentary parking would bring more people downtown. And also, if we're going to do the River Precinct, it's got a different name in that, the downtown project that's going to happen, which will be wonderful. I think that downtown, to have complimentary parking would really enhance that nicely.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Ann Voss, and I have lived here for 30 years, and I love the downtown, and I love that you can park for 2 hours, and I've had a couple of tickets because I moved the spots over. No, I had to move a block over, which I didn't know. It's all good, but I tell you, the best thing is that we know each other. If I go to the Frog Pond and I talk to my friends there, that's what it's all about to me, downtown, where we are community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then I would like to declare this meeting closed, but I would also like you to consider putting your comments down in writing so that the board can have a look at what it is you have all said here tonight. Thank you.